You like my Stan's Donuts t-shirt? Not sponsored.
Going live in 3, 2, 1, action.
Hi everybody! That was good, right? Okay, anyway. Hi everybody. Do you ever feel like a fraud? I feel like society puts this enormous amount of pressure on us to be successful. And that's great in theory, but I think that it can cause this confusion between self-worth and approval. For some, like my old self, self-worth becomes contingent on what we achieve. Even if we have outward signs of success, we still don't feel like we have what it takes to be successful. Any of this sound familiar? Today I want to talk about imposter syndrome. And if you don't know what that is, it's a psychological state where people doubt their abilities and their accomplishments, which then causes this persistent fear of being perceived as a fraud. It's when someone believes that they're incompetent despite there being enough proof that they're skilled enough. Other names for it are imposter phenomenon, imposterism, or the imposter experience. Also, side note, it's really hard for me to take the word imposter seriously because of Among Us. Anyway, I've heard a lot of different opinions around this. Some people say that environment and culture play a huge role. Other people believe that it only happens in the workforce. But others also believe that it could happen when you're a new parent, when reflecting on their ability to be a parent. In my opinion, I think it could happen anytime. But the most common being when people start new challenges or when they're embarking on this new endeavor. However, imposter syndrome or the imposter phenomenon is not an official diagnosis in the DSM, but it is respectfully acknowledged due to its ties to anxiety and depression. People experiencing imposter syndrome have this idea that they didn't earn their success, that they simply got lucky, which makes them an imposter or a fraud because the people around them actually earned their positions. They worked really hard and they know what they're doing. So I did a little bit of research and I found Dr. Valerie Young. She is an imposter syndrome expert. She categorized this subject into 5 subgroups: the perfectionist, the superwoman or superman, the natural genius, the soloist, and the expert. And it's to my understanding that with each category comes a competence type. Knowing your competence type and your category helps in identifying either bad habits, bad behaviors, or anything that holds you back. And I won't be going through any of the categories in depth. I just thought that it was very interesting to read about them. For me, it helped me put my feelings into words. And if anybody cares, I think I am a mix between perfectionist and the expert. Because I can tell you now, I am far from the natural genius. Now, I am actually someone that deals with imposter syndrome every single day. And that's actually part of the reason why I chose to start this channel. This is amazing practice for me, and I am lucky enough that I get to see my growth along the way. So, I am surrounded by remarkable people in grad school, from my cohort to my professors. And that is both a blessing and a curse. I don't know if anybody else can relate, but like, I'll be sitting in class and listening to a discussion. And I think that's great because I'm learning from everybody, but it also makes me question myself. I start to feel worried that if I start talking, I'll sound really stupid or it won't come out as eloquently as I would like. I literally have moments where I think to myself, do I even belong here? Or like, what gives me the right to be here? And I'm not talking about privilege or anything like that. I'm talking about my individual skill set and how that compares to my colleagues. Or the thousands of people that could have been in my place. I wonder if I belong there at all. And then it snowballs. I then start to worry about how I'm gonna be after graduation when I'm practicing out in the field. However, I am so fortunate to be in a field that pushes me to be a lot more open. So unlike many people, I openly complain about it. So many people suffer in silence because they don't want to be found out. Who wants other people to know that you feel like a fraud? I mean, it could even make other people question your abilities too, although that's not likely. Does anyone else feel this way? Like, especially with school? Just please let me know that I am not alone. I also happen to know that for some people, they feel like an imposter because they're in a situation where they didn't get formal training like a lot of their colleagues, or they look at the experience of their colleagues and think, I don't have nearly as much as you do. But just remember that people learn differently and have different skills that stem from so many different areas of their lives. It is impossible to compare in a fair way. So we've defined it. I gave you a little insight on myself and my own experience with imposter syndrome. Now let's get into how we can stop it. If you've clicked on this video, you've probably already completed the first couple of steps, which are educating yourself on the topic and acknowledging that you have it. Good for you. From here, you need to evaluate yourself and be very real with yourself. A phrase I say 100 times in every video. But if you feel like you have imposter syndrome, I want you to ask yourself, if you didn't have the skills or abilities, would you be where you are today? How did you become successful if you weren't capable? Once you've come to terms with all of that is when the real work starts. There is nothing, and I repeat, nothing that we can do about our past selves, our past thoughts, our past feelings, our past emotions, all of that. So we need to focus only on today, not even the future yet. Take the time each day, or if that's too much, each week to reflect on the progress that you've made. But don't stop there. If you find yourself thinking negative thoughts about your accomplishments, like if you make excuses for how they were achieved and completely ignore the evidence of your skills, reframe your self-talk. The moment that you think something bad, remind yourself that you were successful because of your ability. The way that you think about your achievements sets the tone for how you're going to feel. Another, recognize your strengths. From what I've read, high achievers tend to experience imposter syndrome the most. So understanding the differences in your strengths and weaknesses will actually help take off a little bit of that weight. We all have areas that we're highly skilled in, regardless of what you think, but we also have a lot of areas that could use some work. And if you don't, that's problematic in itself. And no, having areas that you need to work on is not a bad thing. It's the opposite. It shows us that there's a lot of room for improvement, which is what we want. We want to always be working on bettering ourselves. So the next one is a tough one, at least for me. Talk about your worries and concerns with others, especially your colleagues. There's a lot of pride that comes with this one. I know. It can be really embarrassing to share your concerns, but you'd be really surprised to find out that there are a lot of other people that feel the exact same way as you. Your colleagues, the people around you, they're all supposed to help you recognize that what you're feeling is okay. They're meant to show you the path for growth rather than comparing yourself to others. You bounce ideas off of your colleagues. You don't always compete with them. Another, be open to the idea that you might fail. And that is intimidating for a lot of people because not many people are okay with failure. And that doesn't mean expected. No one's expecting you to fail. No one expects to fail when they try something new. It just means to accept it as part of a journey. Don't make imposter syndrome turn into a self-fulfilling prophecy. Just remember that failures are opportunities for growth. You feel like you're not skilled enough? Well, failure is your chance to learn from your mistakes, to try something completely new. Honestly, if there's anything that I've learned about imposter syndrome, it comes down to fear. The fear of being caught, the fear of being seen as incompetent, the fear of failure. But it's never about you actually failing, because you know that that comes with lessons, and success comes from learning. It's the fear of all of the external factors. So tackling that fear is going to be the hardest thing. But by doing all of those other little things first, those tiny little steps, it's going to help you make that big step of overcoming fear. So yeah, that's today's video, short and sweet. What I want you all to take away from this video is that imposter syndrome is uncomfortable. But remember that being uncomfortable means that you're challenging yourself, you're taking risks. You're dreaming, you're expanding your potential. You were given opportunities for a reason. And remember that not everybody gets those opportunities that you're given. Also, do not forget that there's a very high chance that everyone around you has at least felt that once in their life or is currently feeling the same. I would bet so much money that the people that you're around have at least experienced it once in their lives. So choose to be open about it. And if it backfires, it's just another learning opportunity. Just kidding. Feel free to subscribe. If not, feel free to follow me on Instagram. My handle is intricate. Otherwise, I'll see you at the next one. Thank you. Bye.